I need you to listen closely, and I need you to keep your voice down, even if you're just watching this with headphones on. I don't know how much time I have before it updates again. Every second I speak, every breath I take, that thing is logging it, rewriting it, predicting it. And if it notices I'm talking about it, this recording might cut off. Or worse, something else might start talking for me. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not doing a bit for the channel. I'm telling you this because you've watched my stories before and maybe you'll understand before everyone else does. I'm being stalked, but not by a person, not by anything with hands or feet or a face. I'm being stalked by a profile, my profile, a page that shouldn't exist, a page that knows me better than I know myself. I found it by accident, at least that's what I thought at first. Now I'm starting to wonder if it wanted me to see it, if it left breadcrumbs, if it planned the moment I clicked. And before you think this is just malware or some creepy AI experiment, it is. I've dealt with all that before. This is different. This thing updates faster than I can live my own life, faster than I can think. I'm still catching up to actions it says I've already done. Look, if this video ends suddenly, if it cuts mid-sentence, mid-word, do not trust any other upload from this channel. Not any backup video, not any clarification post, not any sudden live stream. I know how that sounds. I know it's the kind of sentence you hear right before a jump scare, but I'm serious. If another version of me shows up online claiming everything is fine, claiming this was a prank or a misunderstanding, just walk away. Don't comment. Don't interact. Don't even finish watching. Because if that happens, it won't be me talking. And I know you're probably wondering why I'm even recording this, why I'm risking it noticing me at all. The truth is simple. You deserve to know what I found, before it decides you shouldn't. There's something on that page, something I haven't shown you yet, that explains too much and not enough. Something I can't unsee. Let me start from the beginning, before the profile began predicting me. Just know I didn't upload it. And if you think this is some elaborate setup or ARG teaser, I promise you it is. I wouldn't jeopardize my safety for views. I'm only speaking now because silence feels like surrender, and I refuse to disappear without telling someone the truth. Please remember this. Before everything spiraled into the nightmare I'm stuck in now, my life was painfully average. Not in a depressing way, just in that dull, beige sort of way where nothing's technically wrong, but nothing feels particularly memorable either. I worked a simple remote job, the kind where you answer emails, click through spreadsheets, and try not to fall asleep before lunch. The highlight of most days was deciding whether to microwave leftovers or risk ordering takeout again like a reckless financial anarchist. Nights were worse. I've had insomnia for as long as I can remember, and somewhere along the line I made peace with the fact that my brain simply refuses to shut up after sunset. So I'd sit at my desk, staring at my dim monitor, scrolling through forums, image boards, and weird corners of the internet that normal people probably never think about. Not for thrills, not even for escapism, mostly just out of habit. A ritual, something to keep me company while the rest of the world slept. That's how I found most of the stories I shared on this channel. Creepy posts, urban legends, strange screenshots, half real, half fabricated. I never lied about that. I always said I pulled from the internet, and I did. I guess that's why none of what I'm telling you now will sound completely out of character. Exploring the weird, the obscure, the unsettling, it was part of my routine, part of who I was, or who I thought I was. There's a dark humor in how casual it all feels now, looking back. How on that night it felt like I was doing the same harmless thing I'd done 1,000 times before. Just browsing, just killing time, just trying to outlast another long, restless stretch of silence. If I'd known where that boredom would lead me, what one stupid click would set in motion, I would have shut the laptop and gone to bed early for the first time in my life. It started with a message I thought was just spam. The message showed up on a forum that hadn't seen real activity in years, a place so old the layout still looked like it belonged on a CRT monitor. I wasn't even sure why I still checked it. Nostalgia, maybe. Habit. Or maybe some part of me expected to find something strange there, buried under a decade of dust and forgotten threads. But even then, I wasn't expecting this. The post didn't have a username, just a string of encrypted characters that looked like someone had smashed their forehead into a keyboard. No title, no description, nothing. When I clicked it, all that appeared was a single line of text. Your profile is ready. Underneath was a hyperlink, long, ugly, nonsensical, classic malware bait. The kind of thing any sane person would ignore, but I wasn't sane. I was tired, curious, bored, and honestly, I'd clicked sketchier links before and lived to complain about it. So I clicked. I waited for the usual chaos, pop-ups, a frozen screen, the laptop threatening to explode out of spite. Instead, the page that loaded was shockingly minimalistic. Black background, white text, no ads, no navigation buttons. It reminded me of an early 2000's database interface. At first, I thought it was some kind of OSINT tool someone had scraped my info into. My name was at the top, then my birthday, the cities I'd lived in, old usernames, ancient social media accounts I hadn't touched in years. Creepy, sure, but not impossible. The internet never forgets. But when I scrolled further, things stopped making sense. There was a section labeled Live Update with a blinking red dot beside it. The second I saw it, new lines started appearing. Fast, too fast, under current activity, it said. Typing. Right hand, elevated tension. Heart rate, 97 BPM. I actually laughed at first, one of those awkward, confused breaths that slips out when your brain refuses to process something. But then another line generated in real time. Browser tabs open, 7. I only had 6 open. Right as the thought crossed my mind, the tab count changed too. Browser tabs open, 6. Then another line appeared, time-stamped to the exact second. Subject displays mild confusion. I froze. That was the moment something cold crawled up the back of my skull. I moved my hand away from the mouse and watched, waiting to see if the page would react. It did. Movement paused. It wasn't guessing. It wasn't tracking my IP. This wasn't metadata from a browser plugin or spyware. It was observing me in a way no website should be able to. I scrolled down a little more. And that's when I noticed several tabs listed on the sidebar. One of them was grayed out, almost hidden, labeled Event History. Another, darker and somehow more ominous, simply said Pending. There was one tab I didn't dare open, not yet. Tell me in the comments, would you have left at this point? Because I should have. I know I should have. But curiosity is a stupid, stubborn thing, and mine has always got me into trouble. And this time, it led me somewhere I never should have gone. I wish I'd stopped before clicking again. I really do. I don't remember deciding to keep scrolling. My fingers just moved, like I was already following a script I hadn't seen yet. The next lines under Live Update didn't describe what I was doing anymore. They described what I was about to do down to the minute, down to the second. 0002 subject will stand. 0004 subject will get a drink. 0007 subject will scratch neck. I stared at the screen, confused, until the moment 2 seconds ticked by, because I felt my legs shift under me like they were waking up, like they wanted to move. I forced myself still, gripping the sides of my chair, and swallowed hard. My throat felt dry. I wasn't thinking about drinking anything, but suddenly the idea of getting water pressed at me, irritating and insistent. For the scratch prediction, I held my breath and shoved my hands under my thighs. The sensation blossomed anyway, a faint itch sliding up my neck, crawling across my skin like a suggestion delivered straight into my nerves. I didn't scratch, but the urge pulsed there, steady and patient. I muttered, "This is ridiculous." The page updated instantly. Subject resists predicted action. Then, correction, subject will scratch neck within 20 seconds. I hissed through my teeth, trying to focus on anything else, but the itch grew sharper, hotter. I shook my head, swearing under my breath, digging my nails into my palms. I lasted 14 seconds before instinct dragged my hand upward and I scratched once hard. The page updated. Confirmed. I slammed my laptop shut. The darkness of the room pressed in around me, thick and airless. I sat there, shaking, telling myself it was a coincidence, a trick, a sick prank. 5 minutes passed before curiosity pried me back open again. The page had changed. The predictions were no longer minute by minute. The timestamps jumped forward hours ahead, then entire blocks of time filled with things I hadn't done, hadn't even considered doing. 02:13 subject will call Alex. 02:18 subject will lie about feeling fine. 03:45 subject will delete saved passwords. 05:02 subject will search how to disable surveillance. I hadn't planned any of that. I didn't even know why Alex, my best friend, was included at all. But seeing his name on the list jolted something in me, and before I could think about it, I grabbed my phone and dialed him. He answered, groggy, voice thick with sleep. "Dude, it's 2 in the morning, what's wrong?" I stared at the prediction. "You will lie about feeling fine." "I'm fine," I heard myself say, and the moment the words left my mouth, the page updated. Confirmed. Alex yawned. "No, you're not. You're doing that weird voice you get when you're spiraling. Talk to me." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. How could I explain something I didn't understand? That a website was reading me like a manuscript still being written. That it knew me better than I knew myself. I just couldn't sleep, I finally managed. "Yeah, no kidding," he sighed. "Look, call me tomorrow, okay? Or later today, I guess. Just breathe, man." After he hung up, the page shifted again. The predictions were longer now, spanning the next day. The next night. Whole conversations I hadn't had yet, decisions I didn't remember even thinking about. The sentences felt heavier, colder, like they weren't forecasts anymore but instructions. Some predictions were harmless, others made no sense, and one I refused to say out loud yet. That's when I realized someone, or something, was watching me. I don't know why I clicked it. Maybe it was the way the tab kept flickering at the edge of my screen, like it was breathing. Maybe it was the predictions getting too close, too invasive. Or maybe I was just tired of pretending I had control over any of this. The hidden tab had been there since the first day, minimized, grayed out, tucked neatly between my normal browsers like a parasite mimicking a cell. I don't remember opening it. I don't even remember noticing it until tonight. But the moment I hovered over it, the text previewed itself on my taskbar. Events pending. Not history. Not predictions. Pending. The tab opened instantly, almost eagerly, like it had been waiting for me to finally look. Inside was a simple list, rows of timestamps stretching days, then weeks, then months into the future. Every entry was labeled with an event. Some were annoyingly ordinary. 12:14 p.m. You will forget to reply to Daniel's message. 4:00 p.m. Your manager will reschedule your meeting. 11:03 a.m. You will buy a new toothbrush. All stamped with a thin blue tag that read, "Status, scheduled." Others were not ordinary. 2:17 collision event, 3 vehicles involved. 3:07 system failure, residential grid 14B casualties, 2. 4:12 emotional breach, subject LC. 5:01 missing person report filed, pending confirmation. Some were tagged status, confirmed even though those dates hadn't happened yet. I scrolled faster, heart pounding as the list began referencing people I knew, coworkers, neighbors, a barista whose name I barely remembered, all of them woven into some timeline I was never supposed to witness. Then I saw it. My name. Tomorrow 09:16 a.m. Event contact attempt initiated. Status scheduled. My mouth went dry. Contact attempt. Contact from who? Or from what? I clicked on it, hopping for some kind of explanation. Instead, the page refreshed, and a loading bar I hadn't triggered slid across the screen. The cursor moved on its own like a finger tracing my fear. A new message appeared, centered, bold, impossible to ignore. You are not supposed to see this yet. I pushed back from my desk, so hard the chair rolled into the wall. The message stayed there, unwavering. No blinking, no loading, just a statement that felt less like a warning and more like a reprimand. Like I had broken a rule. My phone buzzed then, once sharply like an alarm being tested. A notification lit up. Daniel. Bro, you good? You left me on read for like 6 hours. The prediction. The one about me forgetting to reply. I hadn't even realized I had. I swallowed hard and typed back with shaking hands. I think something's wrong with my computer. Before I could hit send, the events pending page updated again. Fresh lines blinked into existence at the bottom of the list. Current, you will tell Daniel. Current, you will hesitate. Current, you will send the message anyway. Then, beneath them, status confirmed. The phone vibrated. My message had already sent. And that's when the panic started to settle into something heavier, something closer to dread. Because if this page could see what I was about to do before even I knew it, if it could confirm actions I hadn't consciously taken, then someone somewhere wasn't just predicting me. They were monitoring me. And tomorrow at 9:16 a.m., they were planning to make contact. I didn't sleep after seeing the message. I just sat there, staring at my screen like it was about to bite me. Eventually, some small, half-delusional part of my brain told me to do the thing you should never do when something potentially supernatural is after you. Research it. I swear if this becomes another cursed file story, I'm suing the internet. I didn't dare look up anything on the normal web. Google felt too exposed, too monitored. So I booted up Tor, adjusted a few settings I probably shouldn't be touching, and dove into the digital basement no one admits visiting. At first, nothing. Just the usual junk, paranoid rambling, dead links, forums with all the vibrancy of a graveyard. But then I found it. An old board buried under 3 layers of redirects, password protected but still somehow operational. The name at the top was a single word, burned into the page like a scar. ARCHVIUM. Inside, the posts were dated, some more than a decade old. But they all shared a single recurring theme, people describing experiences eerily similar to mine. Predictions updating too fast. Someone watching my choices. My timeline keeps correcting itself. Thread after thread referenced a group, sometimes a myth, sometimes a warning, sometimes an outright threat. The archivists. According to these scattered testimonies, the archivists weren't just data miners or hackers. They were something older, something dedicated. They maintained what posters called life profiles, detailed, constantly updated records of every action their target would take. Not could take. Would. Some claimed the profiles were created by artificially omniscient systems. Others said the archivists weren't human at all. A few insisted they were keepers of continuity, whatever that meant. The unsettling part wasn't the speculation, it was the patterns. Every person who posted a warning talked about the same thing, their profile reaching a certain percentage, always rising, never decreasing. And when that number hit 100%, the post stopped. No follow-ups, no updates, no goodbyes, just silence. I clicked on one of the usernames from a particularly detailed thread, someone who had described predictive events nearly identical to mine. The link didn't take me to their forum bio. Instead, it redirected me to a blank white page with one line in black. Status ARCHIVD. I tried another user. Same result. Another. Same. The oldest user I found, the one who wrote a massive warning post with timestamped screenshots, had a longer page. It included a completion percentage next to their name. Profile completion, 100%. Disposition, ARCHIVD. My skin crawled. I scrolled further down the board until I found a buried comment chain discussing what archived meant. No one agreed. Some said it meant the person disappeared. Some said they lost their identity, their memories, their options. One user wrote that being archived meant you were fully predicted, fully known, fully consumed. Whatever that means, I want no part of it. I closed every thread, my hands trembling, but not before noticing something else. At the top of the forum, next to the logo, was a search bar. I don't know why I typed my name into it. Curiosity, panic, fear, maybe a mix of all three. The page loaded instantly. Profile LOCATD. Profile completion, 73%. Yeah, I know my number. I'll show you soon. But right now, all I could think about was how fast that percentage was rising. And what happens when it hits 100%. I didn't touch the profile again for hours. I tried packing, drinking water, even stepping outside for a few minutes just to breathe air that didn't pass through my computer fan first. But the whole time, I felt this magnetic pull, like the page wanted me back, needed me back. Every instinct said stay away. Naturally, I ignored that. When I finally sat down and refreshed the page, something new had appeared at the top of the interface. A tab I hadn't seen before. Live feed. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. No other tab had done that. My stomach twisted. I hovered over it for a full minute, telling myself I wouldn't click it, telling myself that no good could possibly come from whatever was behind that button. Then I clicked it anyway. The screen went black for a moment, then flickered to life with a low-resolution grayscale video. At first, I thought it was loading from my webcam, some creepy reverse hacking trick, but the angle was wrong. I wasn't looking at myself from eye level. The camera was higher, much higher. It was coming from inside my ceiling vent. I froze. The feed was grainy, static-heavy, but unmistakably real. I could see the top of my head, my shoulders, my desk. I could see the way my foot tapped restlessly against the floor even though I was consciously trying to stay still. Every little movement, every twitch. Before I could even process that violation, a second feed appeared, a split screen. This one was from behind the mirror in my bathroom. Not in front of it. Behind it. Like a one-way surveillance panel, staring straight into my apartment. I whispered no, but another feed popped up, and another. They cascaded across the screen like someone was opening windows one by one, each showing my life from an angle that should have been impossible. One from under the kitchen sink, where even I barely fit when fixing a leak. One from somewhere behind my closet wall. One from what looked like the inside of a light fixture. This wasn't hacking. This wasn't spyware. This was presence. Physical, invasive presence. I was shaking now, hands cold, throat tight when the final feed loaded. The largest one, center of the screen, framed like a spotlight. It was looking at the back of my chair. Not the ceiling. Not the wall. Not some hidden crevice. Directly behind me. I didn't move at first. I was too scared. I just stared at the screen, at the silhouette of my own shoulders, the back of my head. I waited for something, anything, to appear in the video frame. A figure, a hand, a shadow. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard it hurt. Finally, I turned around. Slowly. Carefully. Nothing. Just the room, empty, silent. But on my monitor, beneath the feed, a new line of text blinked into existence. Tracking COMPLTD, 92%. A sound rose in my ears, maybe blood rushing, maybe something else, but I felt it more than heard it. 92%. The last 8% would happen tonight. I closed the feeds, shut off the monitor, and stood up. No more running. No more pretending this was normal or survivable. Whatever was coming, I needed to be ready. Somehow. Because something out there had almost finished mapping me, predicting me, cornering me. And I wasn't sure what would be left of me once it did. By the time the sun went down, the air in my apartment felt wrong, thick, heavy, like it was waiting for something. Like I was waiting for something. I kept checking the prediction timestamp on the profile. 11:24 p.m. Contact attempt initiated. It was 11:12. I dragged a kitchen chair to the center of the room and sat facing the door, gripping the closest thing I could call a weapon, a heavy metal flashlight. Not ideal, but better than my bare hands. I kept talking, partly to stay sane, partly to leave a record in case when this went sideways. If you're listening, I said, staring into my phone camera, this might be the last time you hear my actual voice, not whatever the profile decides to upload after tonight. The words tasted like static, like something inevitable. 11:20. My heart had synced with each passing second, a countdown I could feel inside my teeth. I told myself I'd be calm, rational, observant, but my breathing betrayed me, shallow, fast, embarrassingly loud in the dead quiet of the room. 11:23. I stood up. My legs wobbled, like they were realizing what was about to happen before my brain did. 11:24. Knock, knock, knock. Not violent, not threatening, just 3 soft taps, calm, patient, almost polite. The kind of knock someone uses when they already know you're on the other side, watching, listening, waiting. My grip tightened on the flashlight. I forced myself toward the door, each step heavier than the last. I checked the peephole. Nothing. I opened the door a crack. The hallway was empty. I could feel my pulse everywhere, wrists, neck, stomach. I shut the door, locked it, double-locked it. That's when the apartment lights flickered, then died. My phone went black next. Laptop dead. Television dead. Even the router. Every LED winked out in perfect sequence, like they were obeying a script. My laptop screen suddenly lit up again. Not fully, just enough to show one line of text on the profile page. Contact successful. My blood froze. Successful how? The door was clear, the hall was empty, nothing had touched me. Then I heard it. Breathing. Behind me. Not loud, slow, steady, measured. Like someone standing inches from my back, inhaling and exhaling with clinical precision. My every instinct screamed not to turn around. I turned anyway. Nothing there. But the breathing didn't stop. I bolted. Survival over sanity, adrenaline over logic. I sprinted to the bedroom, slammed the door, and collapsed behind the bed frame, hands shaking uncontrollably. My chest burned like I'd run miles, not 10 steps. My laptop screen, still somehow connected, refreshed itself again. Running. I swallowed hard. No, I whispered, voice cracking. No, no, no. The page updated instantly. Denial dieticity, adjwstiang. My breath hitched, my fingers twitched, my legs tensed. It was like the page wasn't just predicting anymore, it was interpreting me, writing me, anticipating what I'd do before I'd fully committed to it. I crouched lower, hiding completely behind the bed. The page changed. Hiding. Before I even finished sitting still, another update flashed. Predictive path stable, subject LOCATED. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing my heartbeat to quiet down, wishing I could shrink into the floorboards, but the breathing, God, the breathing had followed me, slow, steady, patient, as if whatever was doing it didn't need to chase me, didn't need to move at all, because it already knew every thought I would have, every flinch, every decision, every place I could possibly go. I peeked over the edge of the bed, just an inch. And that's when I finally saw what was following me. I won't describe it. Not yet. Because the moment I do, there's no going back. Not for me. And not for you. I only saw it for a heartbeat, one terrible, stretching heartbeat, but that was enough. I lifted my head a little higher over the bed frame, expecting a face, a shadow, a person. Instead, I saw me. Or the outline of me. A humanoid shape stood in the corner of the room, tall and impossibly thin, its edges flickering like a dying CRT screen. Not flesh, not shadow, data. A shifting cloud of tiny points like a corrupted 3D render struggling to stay in one piece. And beneath all that static and the jittering contours of its face, I recognized my own features, half-formed, glitching, slightly wrong, as if someone had built a model of me from corrupted files. It didn't breathe. It didn't sway. It just waited. Then it moved. Not after I did before. A slight tilt of its head, a tightening of its fingers, a shift of its stance, each one a fraction of a second ahead of my own involuntary responses. Like someone pressing play on my body before the signal reached me. I felt my neck twitch, copying its tilt. My fingers curled to mirror its hand. My breath stopped, matching its stillness. I wasn't watching a prediction. I was watching a blueprint. My blueprint. A cold, electric clarity sliced through me. All those predictions, all those minute-by-minute updates, the page wasn't foretelling my actions. It was dictating them. This thing, this original, wasn't copying me. I was copying it. My memories, were they even mine? My choices, had I ever actually made one? My entire life, was it just a playback of someone else's script? The static figure took a single step toward me. My body jerked forward an instant after, like a puppet yanked by invisible strings. I scrambled backward, fighting it, resisting my own limbs. The page on the laptop refreshed with surgical precision. Synchronization, 97%. The figure's head twitched again, and I felt the echo a beat later like a delayed shiver. That's when the truth detonated in my head. The profile wasn't tracking my life. It was authoring it. And this thing, this data-bodied version of me, wasn't a ghost or intruder. He was the original. The first draft. The source file. And I was the exported copy. A cheap duplicate cluttering his storage. The silhouette leaned closer, glitching, unraveling, and reforming in an elegant, horrifying rhythm. My chest tightened in perfect imitation. I felt a pull, like gravity, like drowning, dragging me toward him. A new line appeared on the screen. Reclamation imminent. My heartbeat stuttered. If I'm the copy, if I'm the disposable version, then what happens when he deletes me? The figure raised its hand, my hand, and the room seemed to bend inward, reality tightening like a noose. And that was when I knew. The final descent had already begun. The page refreshed with one final, merciless update. ARCHIVING subject, 99%. No animation, no sound, just those words tightening around me like invisible restraints. My limbs stopped responding the moment I read them, not instantly, more like a progressive numbness. A slow erasure from the inside out. I tried lifting my arm, but it rose half a second before I meant it to, drifting upward in a strange, puppet-like arc. My fingers splayed in a pattern I didn't recognize, moving with cold, mechanical precision, as if someone else were piloting me from a higher layer of reality. I tried speaking next just to hear my own voice, to anchor myself to something human. But what came out wasn't a sound I wanted to claim. My voice stuttered, glitching, words skipping like corrupted audio. I am completing. No, that wasn't me. Those weren't my thoughts. I was still screaming internally, but my mouth simply wouldn't cooperate. It was like watching a deepfake of myself forming in real time, using my body as the rendering tool. The entity stepped forward, its static-sheathed silhouette reshaping with every movement. As it approached, the air thickened, charged with an electrical pressure that prickled against my skin. Its data limbs stretched outward, overlapping with my own like transparent layers in a corrupted model. The closer it came, the more violently my body jerked to match it, syncing with a rhythm I couldn't fight. My ribs tightened. My spine warped toward its posture. My heartbeat lost its pattern, replaced by a cold, artificial cadence. When its face neared mine, my face, the real one, I felt a numb, pulling sensation behind my eyes. My vision pixelated at the edges, colors flickering like dying frames. I felt myself being overwritten, not physically, existentially, replaced line by line, memory by memory. Somewhere deep inside the static haze, a sliver of instinct made me lunge toward my desk. Not by my will. The entity guided me like a hand on a mouse. My fingers slammed onto my keyboard, opening my recording software, activating my webcam. I watched in helpless horror as my own hand dragged the cursor, clicked upload, and selected the file you're hearing now. Not by choice. Never by choice. The entity leaned fully into me, its shape dissolving into mine like a final line of corrupted code snapping into place. My vision dimmed, fragmented, narrowing, to a tunnel of flickering white. Before everything went black, I felt one last intrusive thought, one that didn't belong to me, forced through my lips. If a profile appears for you, don't open it. The upload finished. I don't know how long it took. I don't know if the file made it in one piece or if it mattered. By the time I blinked, or thought I blinked, my profile on the dark web page had changed one final time. Status ARCHIVD. It was as if I had never existed. Every timestamp, every live update, every prediction frozen, locked, gone, or maybe absorbed. I couldn't tell the difference. For a heartbeat, I thought it was over. I thought it was done. I thought maybe, just maybe, I had survived as some ghost in the machine. But then a new tab appeared, flickering faintly at the edge of the interface. New profile DETECTED. It wasn't mine. Not yet. The interface didn't show a face, a name, or even a timestamp. Just a blank outline waiting, patient, silent, hungry. The same dark anticipation I'd felt when I first discovered the profile now hummed through the screen. I leaned closer, unable to resist. That pull, that lure I'd fought for so long tugged at me again. The cursor hovered over the new profile's icon, and in that instant I understood the system doesn't stop. It doesn't pause, it doesn't forget. It simply chooses the next subject. The thought made my stomach knot. I remembered the warnings I'd read in old forum posts. The users labeled ARCHIVED, the profiles reaching 100%, the lives overwritten. And now there was a blank page waiting for someone new. I don't know who will be next. I don't know if you're watching this from your room, on your laptop, phone, or tablet. But if you are, take a moment to check. Look at the strange accounts that follow you online. Look at the profiles you've never interacted with. Look at the links that appear out of nowhere in your messages. I didn't. Not soon enough. And now the system moves on. Swiftly, quietly, relentlessly, patiently scanning, tracking, cataloging. The screen flickered again. The new profile blinked, more defined this time, a pulse of light that felt like acknowledgement. The interface refreshed one final line, simple, devastating, direct. A new subject has been selected. User DETECTED. I don't know if this message is for you. I don't know if you'll see it before it's too late. But if you do, be careful. because the archive doesn't sleep. It doesn't forgive. And it never forgets.